So we're on our final part of the series. The best attributes in FM is, of course, the forwards and wingers. Let's get on with it. This has probably been one of my most requested videos to do, and that is, of course, the best attributes in FM for forwards and wingers. By that, I mean, obviously, strikers and left wing and right wing. Now, let's get on with it here. It doesn't matter what save you're going on. It doesn't really matter what save at all. So we're going to go through our players here and just have a talk about what attributes are the best on FM. So we're going to start off, we may as well start right to left. So let's start off with the right wing spot, not the white ring. The right wing spot. I'm going to start talking about the winger attack slot and see what we think is the best there. So personally for me, the attributes I look for in a right winger, if they're being very direct, that is. There's two different types of wingers, direct and sort of a more of a passer approach. I think for me, I prefer the direct approach to winger attack. Basically get down the byline, cause some problems, cross it in and maybe have a shot if they have a chance to. So for me, the main important attributes are, in the physical category, I would say acceleration, agility and pace. Now obviously they're the ones that are highlighted, but they're highlighted for a reason. If your guy has pace, he can beat the man. Obviously, he may need to have good crossing and good dribbling to be able to use that pace. But if you have that pace already there, it just becomes a massive helping hand in either passing the ball in behind to that winger that's making the run, or dribbling the ball past that fullback that you're trying to beat. Agility is basically how nimble they are and how easily they'll beat the man, pretty much is what I've found. I do like high agility. If they've got great pace, but low agility, they'll just be really clunky and I just won't like them. So for me, I've gone for a balance of agility, acceleration and pace. Make sure it's above sort of 14, I'd say. You don't want anyone on the wing below 14 unless they're really, really good at crossing and sort of passing, good technically. But for me, those are the three most important physical slots. Obviously, you have natural fitness and stamina. You want them to be able to run up and down the pitch. Not necessarily all the way back to your fullback, but you want them to cover the lateral stages of the pitch. Sort of the halfway line to their box constantly throughout the game, making problems for defenders. In terms of mental attributes, anticipation is always handy. Obviously anticipating when the ball's going to come in from behind, making that run so they're not offside too often. Off the ball is once again in hand with anticipation. Flair isn't too important for me, because I kind of want to be more direct and less about skilling the man, more about just beating the man and knocking it on. If they have great flair, it's a bonus. But if your guy has single figure flair, I wouldn't be put off. If he's quick and can cross, I wouldn't worry about the flair. In terms of other stuff, vision can be important for sort of passes and crossing, but if you want to get to the byline with this guy that you're using, then vision isn't really the be-all and end-all player. But it's always nice to have. If you have single-figure vision and you're a Premier League club, I wouldn't go near him unless you can develop it. But for me, if it's a 12, I don't really care. Work rate can be nice if you're doing a high-pressing game, but if not, wingers can have some luxury players. It's pretty much fine with me. In terms of technical aspects, of course, the ones that are highlighted will be the most important. But for me, the ones that stand out are, of course, crossing, dribbling, and technique. Passing is very important, but I feel like if your crossing is good, but your passing's not so good, then it doesn't really make a difference to your crosses. You just want them to be more direct in their approach. If you're getting them in behind and crossing it rather than passing it, if that makes sense, the passing is not too important. If you want to build up style of play, obviously passing is massively important. I try to avoid under 12 passing though. If your passing's bad but your crossing's 19, I probably wouldn't go for you. If you've got a nice balance though, that's what I'm talking about. Balance is very, very key for a winger. You want them to be able to do everything on the ball because they are in the final third of the pitch. If they struggle in one aspect that's important, then try to kind of avoid them. Technique, obviously, it's self-explanatory. First touch, for me, it hasn't stood out. If their first touch isn't great, it hasn't really stood out that they're terrible. In my eyes, it depends, like I say, what style of play you want to do. But for a winger attack, first touch isn't the be-all and end-all. In fact, if your touch is bad, you just knock it past the opponent and anyway, and you outpace them. So to me, first touch isn't too important. Other stuff like free kick taking can be nice for a winger. You want the offensive player to be good at corners and free kicks. But if they're not, you've got 9 other men, not the goalkeeper, 9 other men to take a set piece for you. So that wouldn't put me off at all. Long shots can come in handy. Finishing and composure can come in handy when they're through on goal. But if you play a system where you want them hugging the byline as running down the pitch, then for me, I wouldn't pay much attention to finishing. Now, describing winger attack, hugs the touchline when the team's going forwards, ready to surge into space and attack the byline, which is where our pace, off the ball anticipation, and once again crossing does come in very, very handy. Moving on to winger support here. Now, as you guys can see, the changes on your screen. The changes on your screen go from go from anticipation and flair into work rate and off the ball. And your stamina, So pretty much you want to have more of a player that's more on the ball rather than getting in behind. Obviously, the anticipation shows he's not getting in behind as much. He's not anticipating where the ball's going to go. Flair, he's not on the ball as much and trying to beat the man. He's sort of passing it, giving and going, 1-2s. The support's run here says, it kind of says the same thing, actually. Did it say the exact same thing? I think this is awkward. Yeah, it says the exact same thing, but basically the winger isn't necessarily attacking the byline. He's kind of more cutting in and making some problems in that final third area. So for me, you want that work rate because he will be getting back a lot more as well, supporting the defender behind him. So you want that work rate to get up and down the pitch, hence the stamina as well. But most attributes kind of apply to attack and support. In my eyes, you want a better finisher kind of for support because he's more floating around rather than hugging the byline. But it's not the be all and end all. I wouldn't necessarily not get a player because he can't shoot. But if your work rate, if a winger support has 4 work rate and 8 stamina, avoid. He's not going to last a half, if that. He's not going to last a half. In terms of player traits, obviously you want your guy to be right-footed if you're the right wing and left-footed if you're the left wing. Tries killer balls often is nice if your guy has the cutting edge of passes. If not, then you get rid of the trait by doing individual training. Uses outside the foot, it can come in handy here. Plays 1-2 is nice for winger support and winger attack. If you want to give and go and use that pace to beat the man off the ball, if your dribbling's not too great, then plays 1-2 is always good because you're giving the ball, running off the ball, then receiving it back when you're across in position. Tries tricks can be nice if you're a Flair. We're talking about Buendia here. Obviously, these traits aren't every single winger, but going through what some wingers do have and see if they're useful. Cuts inside from both wings. I'd get rid of this if you don't like this playing style, but for me, if someone with good composure and finishing can make trouble in the final third. If someone's more of an AMC but plays out wide, then cutting inside can be quite nice to overlap or to overcrowd the midfield for defenders there. Light balls played to feet can be good if your guy's not as quick. If your guy's pacey, with not great dribbling or first touch, avoid that. Like I say, use your brain. If your guy's quick and can't touch the ball, why do you want it to feet? You want it in behind so your guy can run and use his pace for an advantage. Runs to the ball often, other ways have that. On winger attack, you've always got to have that. There is a reason why he's got good pace acceleration, because you want him to run with the ball. In terms of inside forward here, we're going to use Adam Eder as an example here. Now, this guy here on my save has got 21 and 24 goals in the last 2 seasons playing inside forwards. So I think he knows what he's doing in terms of familiarity with the role. Inverted winger is very handy, but inside forward attack here first. The inside forward aims to cut inside from the flank and run directly at the centre of the opposition's defence and work best when the player's strongest foot is on the opposite side. So if you're left wing, you want to be right footed and right wing is left footed. This movement can open up space for overlapping fullbacks as well as overloading a retreating defender, although that can end up with the player running into cul-de-sacs. So you want good decision making really for an inside forward. When to make the run inside, when there's space available, otherwise you will be in a cul-de-sac, which you don't know what that is. Basically, you're running into a brick wall where there's nowhere to go. It's basically a loop. You basically can't get through it. So, inside forward for me, in terms of physical aspects, we've gone for agility, acceleration, balance and pace. Now for me, it's the same as winger attack. You want good pace. You want better balance and agility though. Pace isn't the be all and end all. If you're cutting inside to a crowded area, you want to be able to hold that ball with your balance and agility. You don't want to be like Carlton Cole and having legs dangling all over the place. You want to be able to hold that ball, dribble past some opponents that are very, very important. Pace isn't the be-all end-all, but it helps beating that man. In terms of mentals, anticipation's good. Composure is very, very important. Obviously, being composed, beating the men, also taking the shot. Inside forwards do score more goals. So you want to have good finishing and composure. We'll talk about the technical attributes soon. But in terms of composure, you want some nice composure there. Flair, Adam Eder's got 8. He's scoring 25 goals a season. I wouldn't say Flair makes a massive difference. Off the ball is useful. I wouldn't say it's too important because inside forwards tend to dribble in rather than run in then receive the ball. So for me, off the ball is important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Vision is very, very important and it's not highlighted. I think vision is when you're inside that last third, cutting inside, to know when to make a pass to the striker running in behind or the other winger on the other side is very, very important, as is decision making. For some reason, those two aren't highlighted, but keep an eye on them. They are very, very important in my eyes. Now, technical aspects here, we've got dribbling, finishing, first touch, long shots, passing, and technique all highlighted. Long shots, depends on your instructions. If you want someone to shoot long, then look for long shots. If not, it's not too much of an issue. Technique is very important. Technique, first touch and dribbling is important. Like I say, if you want to cut inside into a crowded area, you've got to know how to control the ball. So there you go. That is what I think. In terms of passing and finishing, passing comes hand in hand with vision, obviously. If you want to make that pass to the striker or the winger, you need to know when to make the pass and how well you're going to pass the ball. Finishing, inside forward, self-explanatory. You're going to want to have a good finisher. If you're inside forward, they have 9 finishing and like 8 composure. you're not going to score a goal. It's kind of pointless. You're being an inside forward, you may as well be an inverted winger. And we'll talk about the differences in a second there. But that is pretty much for inside forwards. Inside forward support is pretty much the same, but a bit more in terms of you're not taking a shot, you're making a pass. So if your guy has less finishing, but better vision, maybe go for inside forward support. But if you're looking for that goal on cutting edge, go for inside forward attack if your guy can actually kick a ball into the goal. Inverted winger support here. The inverted winger aims to frequently cut inside into attacking third to open up space for overlapping fullbacks and to subsequently overload retreating defenders. The inverted winger works best when the player's strongest foot's on the opposite side, like the inside forward, left foot on the right foot on the left. So basically you want to open up the space and make the passes rather than shooting. As you guys can see here, crossing is highlighted, finishing is not. So basically you're not a shooter. You're not going to be scoring as many goals as an inverted winger. You're going to be creating the passes and creating the passing lanes for the other players. So you want to draw players out when you're off the ball. Physical aspects, it's pretty much the same, but balance isn't as important because you're not driving into the box. You're more creating the space off the ball. So balance, I wouldn't be too fussed about, but take into consideration what I said about physicals and inside forwards, what I'm talking about inside wingers here. Now, mentals here, composure is important. Decision making off the ball, vision is very important, and work rate as well. Work rate as a winger, you kind of need it. You kind of need a good work rate. So I would go for a work rate that's quite a high. Anything below 11, if you can train it up, get it. If not, it could be a bit of an issue for you. Off the ball, very important. You're dragging the players out of space. You're making the space for the players around you. So when you're finding that space yourself, bringing the right back inside so the fullback can overlap. That's very, very important. That's why decision making is quite important as well. That kind of comes hand in hand from what I know. So that is very, very important. Obviously, guys, like with all these attributes here, determination helps your player develop and become familiar to the role, but that's not massively important to the role itself, just about the player itself. So in terms of technical aspects, crossing is highlighted. Now, Ida has played inverted winger. He's got 8 crossing. So it's not too important. It depends on your play style. If you want a crossing system, why on earth would you have an 8 crossing player? But if you want someone that can drive inside, then don't worry about that too much. Dribbling, first touch, long shots, passing and technique. Once again, if your long shots are in your tactics, then go for a long shot guy. If not, ignore that. If it's always highlighted, long shots. If your team is shoot less, it doesn't matter. That's how I look at it. In terms of passing is always important. Technique is always important. It's very similar attribute-wise to inside forward. However, remove the finishing, get better vision. My voice is going here. Remove the finishing, get better vision, and maybe add a little bit of crossing to that. Now, on to the strikers here. We may as well stay with Ida. He can play striker. Now, for me, there's only really 2 or 3 striker roles that I really look for, and that's advanced forwards and pressing forward. Now for me, advanced forward here, the key aspects here are pace, anticipation, finishing, technique. Personally, the ones that I look for. In terms of physical aspects, we've got great pace. You need to get in. If you're playing an in-behind system, you need, which advanced forwards normally play on, you want someone with great pace that will be able to beat the man in behind and get through one-on-one. That's where the shooting comes in handy. Agility and balance. Now, if you're on the ball a lot, those are very, very, very important. If you're not on the ball and playing a bit more of a direct and route one system, don't worry about agility and balance. Your striker won't have the ball until he's in the final third, and in that case, you should be able to have a shot away. Stamina, you kind of want good stamina, but if your guy has low stamina, it's not the be-all and end-all. I wouldn't cry about your player not having good stamina, because, like I say, if it's more direct, he may be making runs in behind constantly, but he's not doing that for 90 minutes. You won't have the ball for the whole 90 minutes. It depends on your system. If you want a guy to be fit, you should kind of know that yourself and be able to judge that by your system. Mental attributes, anticipation, very, very, very important. Anticipating when the ball's coming in behind and being onside is pretty much what a striker's all about when you're getting in behind the system. If you're quick, but you can't anticipate where the ball's going to go, you may as well not have any pace because you're not going to be there. So for me, anticipation is very high. Composure comes hand in hand with finishing. Obviously, as a striker, if you're finishing and composure's low, don't get them. There is no point. Not going to score any goals. Concentration can be important, but it hasn't been noticeable too much for me with either. Obviously, 10 concentration, it still scores 25 goals a season. Decision making is important, when to run, when not to run, when to get in behind, when to drop deep as well. Determination, once again, self-explanatory. Off the ball, once again, comes hand in hand with anticipation. If you're getting in the right spaces, making those right runs, high off the ball is very important. If your guy has low anticipation and off the ball, he's probably not going to make it for an in-behind striker. Maybe look elsewhere to where he can play. Work rate, chasing down defenders, doing that high press can be important for your system. But if you're not looking for a high press system, then, or a pressing system, shall we say, work rate's not going to kill you as long as it's above 11. 11's the minimum threshold for my players for work rate. Technique here, in terms of technicals, technique is needed. Obviously, a technical striker will be able to beat a man, will be able to pass better, will be able to shoot better as well. Technique does come in hand with shooting. If you're a technical player and not just powering it into the net, then you'll be able to beat the goalkeeper 9 times out of 10, or more times than usual. Passing, like I say, depends on how good how your system's playing. If you want your striker to drop deep and lay off and do 1-2s, then by all means have a good passer. If not, as long as it's double figures, I wouldn't really care too much. By the way, guys, these stats are all considering Premier League players or top tier players. So if you're obviously lower league football, 10 can be amazing. If you're in the Premier League, 10's not so good. In terms of the final 3, dribbling, first touch and finishing. Finishing is self-explanatory and you can finish your play up front. Dribbling can be good if you're having a player that likes to beat a man and tries to run through defenders. If you're just playing hoofball, dribbling is not the be-all end-all. First touch is very important though. If you're playing balls in behind, you want that first touch to be important and to be good, so you can always not chase your touch and have your best chance of scoring one-on-one. And also, even if you're playing in a deeper system, having a good first touch is always crucial for a striker. Holding up the ball, allowing supporting players to come near you is very, very important. The role of the advanced forward, though, is to lead the line, look to spearhead attacking moves. Primary duty to be the focal point of attacking moves, required to both score and create goals. Now, for me, that's not necessarily true. Assists don't really come flowing, my advanced forwards. Don't really come flowing. Secondary role is to chase down misplaced through balls or clearances from deep, win possession, lay off passes across to a teammate, hence the work rate comes in handy there. And it's only available in attack duty. Now, in terms of pressing forwards, you want that player there that's going to be chasing down the lines. Now, the 3 most important attributes for me for a pressing forward: work rate, aggression, and I think decision making. Those 3 for me, and teamwork's sort of the 4th important one, but mentals are the most important tab, most important by a mile if you're pressing forward. If your guy has less than 14 aggression, he won't make it advanced forward at top tier, pressing forward at the top tier. He just won't. I can guarantee you now. Aggression is so important for pressing forwards in my eyes. I love Davy Selker on previous games. He's a pressing forward. That's all you have to know. In terms of physical aspects, stamina, strength is very, very important. Chasing down players 24/7 will require a lot of natural fitness, strength and stamina. Work rate is once again crucial though. High work rate, high pressing game. That's all we need to talk about here. And I think that is kind of it for strikers. I never use complete forward, deep line forwards, poacher, target man, trequartista, or false 9. I hope you guys talk about the other roles. Let me know. I'll do some research into them. But deep line forward here, we'll talk about that just for the sake of it. You want someone that's a better passer and on the ball. He's not necessarily a scorer of the ball, of the goal. Let's read about his actual stats here. Aims to drop deep into space, hold up the ball, supplying linking passes to teammates, moving the ball back to midfield, spreading it wide, has time to turn play, strike partner. Do not play deep line forwards on their own. Play with them a supporting attacking midfielder or a winger close or 2 strikers up front. But for this role, as you guys can see here, you want good passing and vision. You're going to be able to lay off the ball, hold up the ball and lay it off. You don't want a 5'1", 5 strength striker either. So you want good strength to be able to hold up the ball and lay it off to a teammate. Anticipation is important, getting that ball to feet and knowing when to lay it off or when to even hold it and turn and make a run for yourself. Finishing, obviously, it's important for every striker role pretty much, but it's not the be-all and end-all for a deep liner. You want your strike partner to score the goals. The deep line forward is there to give him assists and to lay it off and to make a nuisance of the defenders to give you advanced forwards, normally advanced forwards, some space in behind to make a run and to score the goal for you. Now that is pretty much it for the forwards roles on FM. If I missed anything out, I don't think I have. I don't think I missed any of the forward roles out. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you want to see some more tutorials, let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see. Hope you guys enjoyed the series. And yeah, I'll catch you all later for some more FM or general content. See you later, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe if you're around here. Catch you all later.